Hi, we're at the indoor range today to remake a Paul Harrell tribute video. To remake his video, 9x19 FMJ is all ammo created equal. So I suggest you watch Paul's video. He did chrono and then accuracy with 8 different types of 115 grain. I already made a tribute video to him that he saw with 124 grain, 8 different types. I did like a UFC style tournament, semifinals, quarterfinals, finals with 2 different pistols. He left a comment that he liked it, and he wrote an email back to me saying that he really liked it and the use of the 2 pistols. So now let's do it with 115 grain. He did 8 types seated, which he typically didn't do, bench rest 25 yards. The pistol I'll be using today, clear and empty, is the very excellent Shadow Systems MR920P with a Gideon Omega dot. I will be using the dot today. We'll do 3 rounds of each. It has proven very, very accurate. I just did hollow point functioning with 5 different types of hollow points. Perfect functioning, and 11 out of the 15 rounds were 10 ring on my shooting C's, I think at 10 or 12 yards. So this thing has been very accurate, more set for 124 grain, but some of those hollow points were 115. So we're gonna shoot, we're gonna see, and we're gonna compare 12 different types of ammunition today. And guys, I'm going to give the velocity from sources Paul Harrell and GB Guns when it's available and let you know which is the slowest, probably the Magtech in this order. We have 4 different types of ammunition from other countries and 8 different types from Americans. Starting on the left with Magtech from Brazil, Maxxtech from Bosnia, PPU from Serbia, and Syntech from Czech Republic, which this is very hot ammo, one of the top 3 hottest. I typically train with PPU, 124 grain, and I always carry with Federal hollow points, the best hollow points available. Then we go to Blazer Aluminum, Precision 1, Blazer Brass, which is a bit hotter, and I'll give you that data, and then Fiocchi rated at 1200, but quite a bit slower according to Paul and GB Guns. And then Federal Syntech Range, so technically not a FMJ, the total synthetic jacket. SIG Elite Performance. Lawman, which is very hot, but is it's a coating, so be careful, not for ported barrels. And Winchester, very, very hot. Service grade, which is a flat point and would be a good choice for animal defense. Not quite as hot as the M1152, but almost there on the service grade. So perhaps training ammo. So PPU Serbia GB Guns has got the PPU at 1134 feet per second. SMB GB Guns has at 1164 from 4¼ inch barrel. Paul from 4.7 M17 1169. So the SMP is going to be one of the top 3 hottest, with the Magtech being the slowest. Blazer Aluminum 1106 by GB Guns. So I'll shoot 4, take a little break, 4, and then go on. All right, guys, we got the first 4 carefully loaded up. So here we go. Please subscribe. Please comment down below. And make sure you check out my Paul Harrell tribute playlist. Well, this will go in. The 124 grain tournament will go in. I got 2 videos with 12 different 9mm hollow points accuracy you're going to want to check out. Going to be honest here, these were the best targets I had available today, so I moved it from 12 to 10. So we're at 10 yards today. Better targets might have helped these Mark 1 eyeballs. But here we go. Magtech top left, Maxxtech top right. I have not shot this pistol yet today. I did do 50 rounds doing the Homeland Security DHS qual for the first time with a different Glock clone. So make sure you check that out, my FBI qual and the Range Master. Okay. Okay, next up, middle left is PPU Prvi Partizan, the Serbian ammo. So it's Brazil, Bosnia, now we're to Serbia. Pulled that a little left. I'm pulling some left, sorry guys. Hopefully this will be good information for your purchasing needs. And now middle, right is Slit and Below, or if you're Smarter, maybe just call it SMB, according to the late great Paul Harrell. Alright, now I'm going to take a little break and reload. Alright, foreign stuff out of the way, now on to the American stuff. Starting with, I'm kind of going cheapest to most expensive in my knowledge. Starting with the Blazer aluminum, bottom left, and then Precision 1, bottom right. Okay, and now Precision 1, bottom right. Alright, let's pull it in. Alright, halfway through, let's look at the results so far. With our Magtech from Brazil, we got 1, 2 in the, we'll call this the 10 ring, and 1 just a bit outside, but fairly centered, maybe a little bit to the left. Probably the slowest ammo, and then Maxxtech would be next from Bosnia. I got 1 in the 10 ring, and then 2 next to each other, high right. Perhaps that was the shooter. Next up, PPU from Serbia, which the 124 grain is one of my favorite training ammos. We got 1 in the 10 ring, but it's not a bad group. We got 2 next to each other and 1 right there. So that's not horrible. This is Mark 1 eyeballs at 10 yards. Now, SMB, one of the hottest. Paul Harrell had it at 1169 from his 4.7-inch M17 SIG. And GB Guns from his 4 1/4 Grand Power got 1164. So we kind of know where the SMB tends to go with over 4-inch barrels. Got a 4-inch barrel plus a comp making it 4.5 on the shadow systems. And it looks like we got very good accuracy, just a little high here with the SMB. Now, surprising to me and many of you is the Blazer aluminum. GB Guns from 4 1/4 K100 Grand Power, 1106 feet per second. So definitely not the fastest for 115, but nice accuracy. That's a pretty good group for me at 10 yards. I've also, I don't think, ever had a failure from aluminum. I've had more success with Blazer aluminum than Blazer brass, other than it's not something to store in magazines. The top ones can deform from the spring pressure, so that's not SHTF stuff. Precision 1, I got 2 very good next to the center in the 10, and 1 bad. I am almost certain this 1 bad from the Precision 1 is on me. If you look at my other accuracy stuff, I usually have 2 very good trigger pulls and 1 not so good, and I think that's the case with Precision 1. So for the winners so far, I'm going to have to go with SMB, Blazer aluminum, and maybe a tie between the PPU and the Precision 1 from my interpretation of these results. The Blazer aluminum and SMB definitely win this with a 3rd place tie with the PPU. And the Precision 1, even though that's a much wider group, I think that was on me. Alright guys, since I have chrono sources from all of them, on the next 6, Blazer brass, GB Guns 4 1/4, 1147 feet per second. Blazer brass, maybe it's pretty good stuff. Fiocchi, while it says 1200, Paul only got 1090 from his 4.7 M17, and GB Guns got 1094 from his 4 1/4 Grand Power. Every pistol is different, but Fiocchi labeling, maybe it's not up to it. Federal Syntech Range TSJ, total synthetic jacket, better for indoor training, less lead for the barrel, and more importantly, for you, GB Guns got 1126 feet per second. Go check out GB Guns on YouTube, subscribe, all that stuff, and look at his website where he has this data I just grabbed. Sigley Performance is rated at 1185, but I don't have a real world source for that. If you do, put the barrel length and from where and the feet per second down below. Then Spear Lawman, 1197 Paul Harrell got. So Spear Lawman being very hot. Again, look at his original 9x19 is all ammo created equal video. And then the Winchester service grade, it is a flat point, very hot at 1282 feet per second from a 4 1/4 from GB Guns. Can get over 1300 from longer, not quite as the M1152, but almost, about 35, I believe, feet per second less typically. All right, guys, blazer brass, top left, Fiocchi, top right. Fiocchi. Last one, a little to the right. All right, Federal Syntech range, mid left. Next up, Sig Elite, mid right. Was a little poppy and it was loud, so perhaps this is meeting the 1185 unlike some other brands. Perhaps the SIG is up there in velocity. Maybe you guys can let me know down below some real world sources. Okay, now the Lawman, which I believe isn't technically a real FMJ, so not for the bad times. It's a coating, so be careful if you have a ported. Lawman, bottom left in the chew. Lawman. And that was spicy. That was very, very good and spicy. That is probably number 2 in velocity as far as the most. I like a lot to be training ammo for your carry hollow points, either a Federal Punch or 124 plus PHST, etc. And now the Winchester, hopefully it functions. It is a flat point. Actually, I've ran it through this pistol before. And that's like 209mm into a 357 Magnum. I mean, literally at 1285, longer barrels over 1300 feet per second. You know, a shorter Magnum almost. All right, guys, first up with the Blazer Brass, we got 1, 2, line breaks count, 3. I mean, that's kind of vertical, horizontal, slash samurai stringing. But that says, you know, Blazer Brass, good enough to train with, baby. Fiocchi 1 and then 2, 3, a little high right with those two, so not sure, and probably slow on the velocity. Now, Federal Syntech range TSJ, look at that 2 touching in the 10 ring and this just off to the left. That's actually a fairly tight group given these targets. Had I had better targets, I might have done better today. Things are blurring out a little bit, trying to put the dot in the center of the numbers. I really didn't see the red pasties I put in the center. With the SIG Elite Performance, it did feel a little spicy. 1 dead center and 2 just a bit outside. Now with the Lawman, again, really hot stuff. We got 2 line break count near each other and then 1 off to the left. That might be on me. That's probably on me. I think the Lawman is more capable in that, most likely, as a training round long time for law enforcement. And then we get up to the super hot Winchester load, and you could feel it. I mean, that is a very tight cluster with the Winchester. So for the second half, number 1 and number 2 are very clear to me. Number 1, the Winchester service grade, flat point, so not all pistols will function with it reliably. Make sure you run it, but could be good for woods or animal defense, honestly. Winchester QC's been a bit spotty, but with the service grade and the hotter military M1152, that's this, maybe plus a little bit of powder, perhaps it's made to a higher standard. Very accurate there. And then the Federal Syntech range. So maybe you get what you pay for. You used to be able to get this cheap. It hasn't been that case longer, but if you find some, you might want to pick up some. The Syntech range, so maybe you get what you pay for. And then Lawman right here, I would say is third. So Winchester 1, Syntech range 2, and the Lawman perhaps needing retesting. Let's go back and look at the first one. Guys, and over here, the clear winners were the SMB. Just maybe hits a little higher, but I think that would be a tight group with a better shooter. And surprisingly, the Blazer aluminum. So we got Winchester service grade. We got Federal Syntech range, maybe a good training load for competitors, especially if you shoot indoors. We got the SMB slit and below, and the Blazer aluminum. I think that means it's a semifinal. Let's get out the mystery pistol. All right, guys, I'm glad I grabbed my friend's mystery pistol last minute because this is a competition pistol. Speaking of Grand Power, Grand Baits, GB guns, we got the Grand Power Excalibur. See the rotating barrel? Rotates, baby. Fiber optic front, adjustable black rear. So now let's finish the Blazer aluminum, SMB, Federal Syntech, and Winchester service grade. That's what aluminum looks like. Now all firearms will function great with aluminum or steel case. Most ammo is brass case. Here's the SMB right there. Golden bullet, the man with the golden gun. The Federal Syntech range, lipstick, Ava Flanell style. And here's with the Winchester service grade. So that is a full metal jacket -FP flat point. Flat net plate goes much farther, much straighter through bones to dangerous game, etc. Something you might want to know. M1152 looks the same. It's just a tiny bit even hotter, which is pretty crazy, into the plus P plus territory. So this is not something I would use in micro guns unless it was strictly for woods defense and you ran at least 20 of them to make sure they function. Camera stands breaking. Ammo's expensive. I bought all of this, guys, so please like, share, subscribe. Check out the Paul Harrell Tribute playlist. Thanks for sticking with me. Technically a DASA, but it's a competition meant to be fired, you know, carried, cocked, and locked, single action kind of thing. 5-inch barrel here, maybe a little bit greater. Might be a 5.2. I forget. All right, Blazer aluminum, top left. Okay, next up, the SMB in the top right. And next is the Federal Syntech range, bottom left. And last but not least, Winchester service grade. And I do have a full video on this. Check it out. It's the gun that almost killed Santa in Violent Night. Like I said, it kind of makes your 9mm almost a Magnum. All right, guys, I know this is long, but stay with me because I'm giving you data. Blazer aluminum 110, dead center 1918. SMB, a dead center, a 9 line break, and an 8 line break. So we got a 4th place, a 3rd place, and then let's go to the finals between Winchester service grade 210s and an 8. And the winner here, but I'm going to run them one last time. Federal Syntech, a 10 line break, touching the 9 right there. That is an awesome group with the Federal Syntech, and I guess you get what you pay for. I'm going to pace these up and shoot these for the finals like a UFC tournament. Look at my playlist. Get competitors in Street Jiu-Jitsu and BJJ Fanatics. Did MMA well over 20 years with all the best in the world.